Hi guys, welcome to video number 67. This one is on manipulating surds. There's going to be a few surds videos. This is the one where we introduce the rules, or the most important rules that we can use in the world of surds. Now, keywords are manipulating, surds, and root. Okay, this manipulating business is when you just do something with something, alright? You're going to change what you're going to do with these surds. You're going to change them in some way. Surds are just numbers that are inside square roots. If it's a square number that's inside a square root, then it's not classed as a surd, because you can actually evaluate that and they'll give you a whole number. And a surd is just an exact answer. They are irrational numbers. And I mentioned that way back at the beginning, I think. And roots are just, these symbols that you've got over the letters in the rules here, but in the numbers here, these are the root symbols. Okay, you can get square roots, cube roots, and any kind of roots, right? But we're just dealing with square roots in the world of surds. You'd be unlucky not to get a question that's not just a square root, and you have to deal with the surds rules. Anyway, so learn these rules. Okay, so the square root of a times the square root of b is equal to the square root of ab, which just means a times b inside the square root, doesn't it? And the same rule for dividing, but just dividing inside the root. This one means that something root a, or something root something, multiplied by something else root something else, is equal to these two numbers multiplied together, c and d, so whatever the result of that is, and then the two numbers inside the roots multiplied underneath the root again. Okay, this exactly the same thing for dividing. C root a divided by d root b is equal to c divided by d multiplied by root a divided by b. Okay, and then we've got the square root of b squared is just b. There's that rule. So if you square a square root, you've undone it. That makes sense. And then this one is just where you're multiplying out double brackets, basically. So the same thing as multiplying out double brackets. And I've just given you that as an example where you square in this bracket, but it works for any multiplying double brackets thing. And then this one is where we're rationalizing a denominator. Okay, and there'll be more about that later on. Now, I've given you an example of each rule here. In the first box, we've got multiplying and dividing, and then we've got the rest of the rules here in box 2, and then we've got a contextual question in number 3, as normal. All right, so let's get on with it. Simple process. If we are going, and there will be more surd stuff as well, all right? There'll be stuff about simplifying them and calculating them and harder rationalizing denominators. I said I was going to get on with it, I will. So we're going to work out root 7 multiplied by root 5. Okay, so using that first rule, all we have to do is put that in a root and do 7 times 5. 7 times 5 is 35, so we end up with the square root of 35. Okay, now sometimes you can simplify these answers into different roots. You have a number of the root whatever, right? With this one, there are no factors of 35 that are different from 7 and 5, 1 and 35. So there's no square numbers in that would be the factors of 35. We can't simplify that one, and I will not waffle on about that for long because I'll do a video on that later. All right, now this one, root 4 divided by root 2, again we just do this, we go root 4 over 2. Now 4 over 2 is 2, so we just end up with root 2. Okay, 4 divided by 2 is 2, so root of 4 over 2 is root 2. Okay, anyway, C is root 72 divided by root 2. Again, just the same thing, and we're going to do 72 divided by 2, and 72 divided by 2 is 36, and that's root 36, but I haven't written it in the answer space because I know that root 36 is a number, or it is two numbers technically. All right, it is 6 and or minus 6 at the same time. All right, we can have two solutions when we square root a number, can't we? Okay, so these are technically positive and negative root 2, and technically positive and negative root 35, right? But root 35 would do, root 2 would do, and probably just 6 would do most of the time in the exam paper, unless they'd ask for both solutions. All right, there you go. There's that. Let's look at number 2. So in number 2a, we've got the multiplying one. That's this rule here. This is 2 times by 3, which is 6, and then root 5 times root 5. Root 5 times root 5 is root 25, and the root of 25 is 5. So you end up with 6 multiplied by 5. and that would be 30. Okay, so we've evaluated that. There's our answer to that one. Hopefully that makes sense. 10 multiplied by 5 is 50. All right, and then we've got root 8 multiplied by root 4. If you do root 8 multiplied by root 4, you get root 32. Now root 32 looks like that. Can we simplify root 32? Are there any factors that 2 and 16? There we go. So that one is actually a whole number of 4. So we've got 4 lots of root 2. So multiplied by 4 lots of root 2. Now 50 times 4 is 200. So we actually get 200 root 2. That's what the calculator would give you if you were to work this out on the calculator. You would get 200 root 2. Okay, so there's a little bit more working out involved on that one. All right, let me just get rid of that bit. All right, so tricky, yeah, but doable. All right, and I'll do more on simplifying surds in a bit, like I said. This one, you're just undoing the root, so the answer is very easy. It's just 4. This one, you're multiplying this bracket by itself. So it's the same as if you were doing multiplying double brackets and it was x terms. I like to tell people to treat these surds as x terms because it's the easiest thing to do. Okay, so 4 plus root 3. There we go. So I've set up my grid. 4 times 4 is 16. Plus 4 root 3. Plus 4 root 3. And positive, because everything's positive, positive. Well, root 3 times root 3 is root 9, and that would give you 3. Okay, you're squaring the square root there effectively. So we've got 16 plus 3, and 16 plus 3 is 19. We put the number bit first, and then we've got plus 8 root 3s, because we're adding 4 root 3s to another 4 root 3s. So that's going to give us 8 root 3s. Like I said, just treat it like an x term, and you won't go wrong. Okay, now this last one's very simple. Rationalizing a denominator question. To rationalize the denominator, it means you can't have an irrational number on the bottom, and an irrational number is a surd because it just goes on forever. All right, it's not a whole thing, so we have to get rid of that non-whole number on the bottom. And to do that, we'll just multiply by that root. So we're going to multiply by root 5, but we have to do the same thing to the top, just like we always do with fractions. So multiply by root 5. Okay, and what we end up with is 11 root 5 on the top, and what we end up with is root 5 times root 5 on the bottom, which is just 5. Okay, so that is the answer, and I'll just get rid of that working out there so you can see, or that just kind of showing you what I was doing. There's the answer to that question. All right, so slightly complicated, but get your head around the rules, practice it. You'll be all right with these, I'm sure. I'm sure you will. All right, and if you're not, then don't worry. Now, move myself over. Here, find the area of the rectangle. This is an expression with a surd in, and so is this. And these are just numbers, all right, in terms of centimeters, however long they are. But we're gonna do the same thing as what we did up here in question 2. I'm gonna multiply these two things together because the area is just the length times the width. All right, so multiply the two dimensions together. We've got 2 plus root 3, and we've got 4 plus root 3. Okay, and we're going to get that grid again, and we're going to do the multiplication. So 4 times 2 is 8 plus 4 root 3, and then plus 2 root 3, and then positive. So root 3 times root 3 is just 3. Okay, so what we've got there is the answer. Pretty much. We've got 8 plus 3, which is 11, and then plus 6 root 3s. And that would be in centimeters squared because it's an area, it's a contextual question. All right, so there you go. There's all the surd stuff for now, and there'll be more surd stuff later on. Like, subscribe, share, be nice, ta-ta.